welcome to Chats, a television podcast, Season 12, PeaksChatz. My name is Magellan, and now co-host, listen carefully. It's your turn to speak. Please, put your heart into it, will you? I've noticed a certain tentative quality in your hot takes, as if your mind were occupied with episodes other than those in the season before you. Such preoccupation not only weakens one's interpretations, but one's bits as well. A deadly failing in any discussion, you must agree, but in this particular podcast, quite disastrous, as we record for basically no stakes, the likes of which you've no doubt surmised. Share your reaction to this in the next moment, or I shall make it for you. It's Alan.
Hello! I'm scared. I feel threatened and unsafe.
Yeah, I got that in the mail wrapped around a bishop. So.
Well, how do they fit a religious figure into the mail? That's incredible. So dry. We got dry humor here on Chats tonight. There's no water. Take a big sip, y'all.
Humor. Oh man, we're gonna get some wet and wild humor coming in a second, though. You know why, Alan?
Wait, why is that, Magellan?
Because this episode we're joined by a guest who broke parole. Cry me a river. It's Charlie.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me back. I thought I'd do my own sound effect as I came in.
It was good. It was a nice wet
I was
sound.
wondering what we got that bishop-shaped object in the mail the other day, and I brought it up to you.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
It was a bishop.
Fuck you. These are the kind of jokes you can get when you live together. Give me more like classic roommate humor. Things that you guys found in the mail together.
That's funny.
That's great. They also have the benefit of being in person, so they can do things like...
Yeah.
The synchronization is impeccable. You're like two peas inside of a desk drawer. Magellan and Charlie were here once again. We've convened in the annex room of the Great Northern Hotel to discuss yet another episode of Twin Peaks. We talk about two every week, folks, but we're going to be talking about the first one here with Charlie. This week we watched The Condemned Woman and Wounds and Scars. First up, Magellan, tell me about The Condemned Woman.
It was directed by Leslie Linka Glatter, written by Trisha Brock. It aired February 16th, 1991. And Alan, in this episode...
Truman puts Hank in prison for the attempted murder of Leo, while Hank there's the wrong intonation here. While Hank points the finger at Josie for the murder of Andrew Packard.
Hey, Josie.
Hey, Josie, you did the murder. Albert reveals that Josie shot Cooper. And Ben enlists the help of John Justice Wheeler, guest casting Billy Zane. Meanwhile, I just added this. Josie turns into a desk drawer. Bob shows up. The man from another place does a little dance. Credits.
Okay, so...
This is the best episode of Twin Peaks so far. What's going on?
So, Charlie, I asked you to be on this one. I asked you. I was like, hey, can you come on this one? And I definitely built it up as like, you're about to see some...
Yeah, this is like season 2, wacky.
Yeah, what remind folks of your Twin Peaks watching experience and and like, what was this like?
So I saw the season 1 a couple of years ago. I loved it. I watched like 2 episodes into season 2 and I was like, what is this? What is this? And when you started watching it, Magellan was like, end of season 2. So I skipped to the end of season 2. So the one thing I haven't seen is this middle of season 2. And gosh, I mean, Alan really sped through, I think, the key plot point that's been sticking with me, which is the end. But
John Justice Wheeler, yeah. Oh, no.
No, it's the Thomas and Andrew, 2 intellectual grizzlies.
2 great wits.
Two great whales of
tops of their industries
sparring in the elevator.
The iconic elevator scene from Twin Peaks.
I can't get it out of my head.
Elevator scene from The Shining. Get out of here. Twin Peaks season 2.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks season 2. You got it.
Alive!
So well delivered.
I'm alive.
You're good.
So yeah, my experience was Oh, I guess it's they're wrapping up a lot of season 1 through lines that I actually care about, and it's kind of actually nice to see these. And all the new stuff is bad, and then the end is totally wacko crazy. But I actually kind of enjoyed getting to see some of my season 1 stuff play out.
I'm glad
there's
to
like
hear
a
that.
surprising amount of that happening in this episode. I felt we watched it together, and I thought I was going to have to explain season 2 stuff, but we kind of have already wrapped or are not paying attention right now to season 2 stuff you don't know about. So yeah, what was some of that season 1 stuff that you were excited to see conclude?
I mean, we've got James coming back, and we've got the picnic.
I'm glad your priorities are in order.
We've got Big Ed and Norma can finally be together, and he walks in with all this fierce determination on his face, and he gives a little speech to her and gives her a smooch, and it's like his face is a little creepy, but he's such a Twin Peaks character.
Yeah,
it's really fun to see that.
That's
Lucy's back. Lucy's being fun.
Yeah.
She actually recalled season 1 in a moment, or that her sort of jokes in season 1 when they're like, check the paper and contact Pete, and she goes, paper and Pete, I'll do it alphabetically.
Oh yeah, I like that. That was like classic charming Twin Peaks stuff. So I actually had a pretty nice time.
The one thing I'm bummed about with how y'all watched it is you didn't get the Log Lady intro, correct?
No.
Oh,
what's the Log Lady intro?
The Log Lady intro.
So for Charlie, when the show was rebroadcast on, I believe it was Bravo. I always forget to check, but I'm 90% sure it was on Bravo. David Lynch wrote, and Margaret Lanterman, or Catherine Coulson, who plays Margaret Lanterman, the Log Lady, recorded these little introductions, these like 1-minute introductions for every episode of the show, seasons 1 and 2. And they're kind of meant to like tune you into what to think about thematically for the episode. And in season 1, a lot of them were really evocative and are like, okay, what's, life and death and all this stuff. They've gone a little weird in season 2, and this one is kind of frustrating. And I was so curious what you would have thought of it had you not seen the episode yet. I'm going to just read it to you. It's pretty short. Again, with no context of what's Twin Peaks season 2 or what happens in this episode. A hotel, a nightstand, a drawer pull on the drawer, a drawer pull of a nightstand in the room of a hotel. What could possibly be happening on or in this drawer pull? How many drawer pulls exist in this world? Thousands? Maybe millions? What is a drawer pull? This drawer pull. Why is it featured so prominently in a life or in a death of one woman who was caught in a web of power? Can a victim of power end in any way connected to a drawer pull? How can this be? Margaret S. Lanterman, the goat herself.
That feels like the brainstorm of the Log Lady intro. Like, okay, I gotta talk about this drawer pull thing.
Yeah, what a drawer pull, DRA.
Drawer pull.
It's not a word by the end of that, yeah.
Push on.
Drawer pull.
Super weird. We have a couple of major plotlines in this episode to talk about before we get to the drawer pull. We have Andrew Packard and...
Let's just do it now, right?
You want to talk about the drawer pull now?
I guess we can get there in this, just do the part of this plot that gets us there, but let's just do that before we talk about like...
Sure. The other like silly stuff.
I don't even remember what else happens in this episode.
It's what you come to this episode for, ultimately. If you're rewatching Twin Peaks, you come for the last 5 minutes, whether or not you like it or not. So Pete is helping people at the station, but he brings breakfast to Andrew Packard. They have a cute moment, and Catherine's like, I don't like it when my husband and my lover, or my brother, excuse me.
Yeah.
With this show, who knows? And my brother are like friends. This is making me feel weird. Josie's there. She sees Andrew. She goes, oh my God, she faints. I thought you were dead. He's really shitty to her. And he's like, you gotta get your stuff together. Basically, a lot of people over and over again just like tell Josie what to do in this episode, which is unfortunate. Cooper is talking to Josie about Jonathan's murder, and she's like, I have nothing to do with that. And Catherine's eavesdropping. He's like, come to the sheriff's station. Catherine's like, I was there, and if you tell him this thing, I have a gun and I'll kill you, so you better tell them this or whatever.
Well, Catherine gives Josie a gun.
Right.
To go kill Thomas Eckert with.
Why?
Because she wants Thomas Eckert to be dead.
Why?
For business reasons
Okay.
and revenge.
Joan was
And she
looking at me, and I was vigorously shaking my head, like, don't call on me.
No, don't call on me,
for
Professor.
this.
Don't call on me.
Yeah, it's like Catherine and Andrew are putting Josie in the position to kill Thomas Eckert, because I think their supposition is like, yeah, Thomas Eckert's going to be mad at her, but like he's not going to be able to resist going to bed with her, and then she can murder him, and she does, and that's what happens.
Exactly. He goes there and at the Great Northern, the aforementioned elevator scene. It's pretty charming. It's not as good as the show thinks it is, though, where it's like Eckhart sees Andrew Packard, a guy he hasn't seen in years, and it's supposed to be these two rivals who are like, oh, you're supposed to be dead, but he doesn't want to show it on his face that he's surprised, so he's trying to act steely-hearted and whatever, and it's like, whatever. Eckhart does.
Charlie, did you find anything notable about either of these guys?
Yeah,
Andrew or
yeah.
Thomas Eckert?
Those guys sucked. I hated having those guys in there. I think we'll get to Billy Zane later. He was like a new element that's like, oh.
Yeah.
But those guys is like, oh no.
Yeah.
And you compare like some of our old guys, our Pete's, you know, who we've had before, and they have so much charm to them and they belong in the world. And these old guys like, what are you for?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Thomas Eckert is just like nothing. Like at least Andrew Packard is like maybe starting to gag and say like I'm alive and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Thomas Eckert is like, who is this guy? He's nobody.
Him and Jones are just like, why are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Right.
What's any of this? Yeah, they're not great. So they're in the elevator. They're like, oh my God, you're alive. Watch out for Josie. Good luck with her. Cooper and the company finally find Josie in the Great Northern, and they're like, we're about to get into something serious. They hear a gunshot through the door. And this is, my friends, the dumbest scene in all of Twin Peaks so far. By a long shot, by a country mile. And I'm glad Charlie got to experience it with us.
My favorite part of this sequence. So I think what made this sequence extra special is that this episode is so boilerplate TV drama up until this point. Like someone could walk in on you watching it and be like, oh, this is just like what's this show? Like it's a thing in the Pacific Northwest and all these characters are doing
soap
stuff.
opera.
Yeah, soap opera, like but everything's normal. And you're like, yeah, totally. And then suddenly Bob crawls over the bed, and I really like Charlie's reaction where you were like, oh, they're giving this guy lines now. Because he's like, what happened to Josie, Cooper? Or whatever. Like,
Oh, to the Bob thing?
Yeah, to the Bob thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's just there to sort of appear, and it's like, oh, Bob. But now they're having him say these sentences.
He's fully verbal. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's evolving. I can give you the like serious attempt to analyze Twin Peaks answer. I can give you the funny answer. The serious attempt is that Bob is reminding Cooper that you fucked up and let a woman die. A beautiful woman died because of you. You're a fool, and I'm making fun of you, and you should feel bad. And I can take whatever I want from you.
Sure.
The funny reason is that they had to pay that actor again. It's like, I haven't been in the show in like 20 episodes.
I had a serious question, though, which is like, I thought when I first saw Bob, like they're telling us Josie had this evil in her. You know, why is Josie always killing everybody? What's up with Josie? It's like, oh, maybe there's a little bit of Bob influence going on with her.
Interesting.
So that was striking me a little bit. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, there is plenty to be said about like Bob's presence whenever bad things are happening, or like bad people are doing bad things. Like when evil is occurring, you know, she's sleeping with a man that she thought was dead, and that's, you know, what the show thinks about sex is like complicated, and she shoots him, and she's being duplicitous. Like this is like food for Bob, right? This is like him being like, oh, evil is afoot. This is a treat for him. Exactly. So it's,
that
you know,
makes sense.
But then, like, why is the man from another place Millie rocking on the bed? Like, what's going on there? He's doing Fortnite dances on the bed.
I mean, I think you can definitely justify Bob's presence and make it make sense. I think honestly what makes it not work for me is it's just shot so lazily. It's just like we're in a wide shot and he's there and let's put a spotlight on it. And like every other time we've seen Bob, there's just been a lot more style to him, and I don't know. And so that it made it hard for me to like not laugh at because it's just so detached from his presence. But I think it can make sense that he's there. But there's just not really a lot of style to it. It just reads as like, okay, guys, we gotta make this a Twin Peaks episode. What do we do? Okay, let's bring in Bob and Man from Another Place. Do that real quick. Let's put Josie Packard in a dongle. What is that called again? Drawer pull. And listen, no disrespect to Leslie Linka Glatter. I mean,
and
shouts to the Queen,
one of the champs, but I just did not find that visually compelling.
I don't even know if that's a directing thing. Yeah, that might be a Trisha Brock thing. That might be a bunch of things. Maybe it's the network saying, like, your hemorrhaging viewers, please put something from season 1 in here, for the love of God. And they're like, no. And they're like, the episode comes out tomorrow. And they're like, okay, we got Frank Silva and Michael Anderson. Okay, can you guys just get costumed in 5 minutes, jump on the bed, and you'll collect a check. Thanks, guys. It could honestly be that. I mean, like, I always think it's fascinating how the mystery and the lore of Twin Peaks interacts with how it, like, the realities of how it was created. Because this definitely isn't like auteur theory. This was planned from the start. Bob is going to jump around as Josie passes out and dies, or her spirit, specifically spirit, leaves her body and enters the wooden drawer handle next to her bed. And we zoom in, and it's such an infamously terrible CG shot. It's embarrassing. And it yells and it screams because it's getting trapped and it can't move. It yells for like a minute. I thought it was like one yell in my memory, but no, it's there for like 20 seconds.
No, it fades into the titles for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you like you think it's bad enough watching just this image of Josie's face superimposed onto the drawer pull, and then it turns into a special effect, and you're like, oh, this is now another like stupid looking thing. The other thing that I found so amusing was after we watched the episode, Charlie's over here on Google Images trying to find the best frame of that whole sequence, like the stupidest frame.
Hell
and
yeah.
the whole Google image search results were like different unique frames from this sequence.
That's amazing.
People really are passionate about this one end to the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, so something Magellan was saying about how it didn't have the style to it was making me think about this book I've been reading where a guy's in Spain and he can't speak Spanish very well, and he hopes that his silences are like imparted with all of this meaning, that people think he's being really smart during his like mysterious silences. And he can feel later in the story that like he's losing that effect, and the Spanish people around him aren't like noticing that in his silences. And I felt like this, like Twin Peaks does this weird stuff, and you kind of like feel the mystery and like strangeness of it, and you don't need to know because it did it with so much style. But then finally here for me, it's like they're being weird, but it just feels like it's for the sake of being weird. It's not cohering into like some deeper thing where it's like, oh, they know something I don't.
Right.
And I think, you know, this episode is trying also to be like I guess a love letter to Josie, like echoing the first shot of the show where she like does her makeup in the mirror and looks very forlorn. They know that like Joan Shen is a beautiful actress and like she's been in the show a lot physically, but she just never was given anything to do other than like suggest things and be told what to do, yelled at, assaulted, flirted with, had sex with, and like all of the verbiage around Josie Packard always sucked.
Yeah.
It always, and so like for her to end this way, I don't even feel bad because I don't feel like they did her dirty. I just feel like they never did her well. It's like, well, yeah, of course a bad character's story ended badly because you never did her well.
Right.
And I'm always so curious about differing opinions, and I would love to hear whether it's from listeners or I might just do my own research, like people who think Josie's an interesting character. Like what's your take, you know? Because there could have been something there, but you know, it shouldn't be a spoiler to say that now that she's in here, she's done. She's not in season 3. This is not like setting up a thing where the drawer is going to matter a lot. Like Josie's no longer in the show.
Right. This is just her fate. Yeah. And I think that's another thing that makes this, it's just hard to like figure out where to go from here with interpreting Josie as a character, because what this episode is so focused on, I mean, it's called the condemned woman. The whole purpose of the episode is like Josie. I mean, we were debating throughout the whole episode which woman
Who's
is condemned.
Who's going to be it? Who's
Yeah,
going to be the condemned woman?
Charlie the whole time is like, is this the condemned woman? It's like freaking Norma or something. But you know, the whole episode is preoccupied with like, okay, we're gonna reach the point where Josie is like meeting her fate. She's gonna be condemned, and it's like, what are you saying that like Josie? It feels like everything that Josie's done that's reprehensible is born out of like really horrible circumstances where she's had to like do those things to survive.
Right.
And at worst, the show is literally condemning her for her actions. And the next episode, which Alan, you and I watched, certainly Cooper is like Truman. She was like a bad man. She was a murderer. And at best, the show is just like immortalizing the fact that Josie always had bad shit happen to her for no reason other than that's her thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're left with her in the drawer pull, wondering, what was this all for exactly? Like, what were you trying to say with this character, except you wanted to see Joan Chen like furrow her eyebrows and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I found some stuff that might serve as a sort of answer for why this is at least so sudden. As I understand it, Joan Chen asked to be written off the show because she wanted to be in a movie called Turtle Beach, which was a 1992 Australian film, which was a critical disaster of a movie and very, very poorly reviewed, bad film, apparently. The director said, quote, "Making this movie wrecked my feature film career." So that's what she did instead of continuing to be on Twin Peaks. And she said she has since regretted her decision to leave. I mean, I personally don't know where she would have fit into the story of Twin Peaks in the future, but maybe that's a story for another time to think about.
Yeah, I mean, there really were moments where she could have just been another like Ben Horn, Catherine Martell type.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the power struggle of the town trying to buy stuff and make deals, and like, that would have been fine. You could have done that.
Or like 25 years later, everything's happening in Twin Peaks season 3, and meanwhile in Hong Kong, she's like running a criminal empire. Like,
that would have been cool.
That would have been pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, R.I.P. Josie.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
It just feels like
Josie.
we never had a plan for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the immortal words of Sheriff Truman,
Put it down!
Let's put down this episode and take it to... No, I'm just kidding. I couldn't think of a better
down
segue.
Josie.
we're putting down
There
Josie,
you go.
yeah.
She's not a dog, you guys. Come on now.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Put it down!
Thank you.
I'm alive!
That was segue nicely. With one character coming out, another character comes in, introducing...
Talk about Billy Zane. Yeah.
Billy Zane is John Justice Wheeler. Here's the thing about Wheeler. He is a business partner of Ben Horn's. He is implied to be in either his late 20s or his early 30s.
He is sleepy.
He is barely here.
He's a sleepy boy.
Big time.
How It was so hard for me to get a read on how old this guy is. How did you know that that's how old he is?
That's the vibe I got, because he says when Jack was younger, businessman Ben Horn made an investment in him and invited him years later in 1989. So like they did an investment thing years before, which must be like 5 to 6 years.
Because okay. I mean, so Billy Zane's a charming enough guy.
Yeah.
And he tries to bring the charm to some of the lines here. And then the worst moment happens where he just dials it up to 12 and he says all of this. And this was where I was like, how old is this guy?
Picture of you. You're wearing a little dirndl skirt. You got a white apron on. You have pigtails. It's unbelievably cute.
There's a picture of Audrey that he has.
I don't wear dirndl.
Did then. It was right here. The Great Northern Dining Room. Close my eyes, I can almost see it. Little Audrey Horn as Heidi. But anyway, it's unforgettable.
Heidi. He's 10. Hey!
And then he's over there. And then he's over there like picking something up for an old lady or something.
Wow, that music is awful, by the way.
Terrible. What is going on there?
Did not like.
Yeah, just the implication that he's like, oh, you were so cute back then when you were 10.
It's also not just like, oh, there's this, you were cute when you were 10. He's like, I have this picture of you and I can describe it in specific detail. And then I'm going to, yes, Audrey Horn. It's
In addition,
really icky.
that scene conveys how sleepy Billy Zane sounds in this performance.
Sleepy.
Picture of you. Huh?
Oh, sorry.
Wake the guy up. Give him a coffee. He's good looking, but he's got nothing going on back there. No, the lights. What's it? Lights are on, but nobody's home. There you go.
Do you think he fits in though? Because sometimes people come in and they're it's like, okay, you're a Twin Peaks character, and sometimes they'll come in and it's like you're not. And I could not make up my mind about whether or not he fit as like doing a weird thing that belongs in Twin Peaks.
I think the actor fits for sure. Like
Yeah.
I think he's a very much one of these people who's like a self-aware Twin Peaks actor in the vein of like Ben and Jerry Horn or you know, characters like that who are like, or Jack Nance's Pete Martell, like I'm gonna do something really specific and weird that I couldn't really do anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get past how clear it is that he's here to be a love interest for Audrey Horn, which like is messing with, she's been like free of the sort of love story with Cooper for a couple episodes. And they've been starting to do this thing where it's like she's hanging out with Bobby a bit more and they're doing like business. Bobby Briggs a bit more and they're doing like business stuff. And she's maybe like positioning herself to take over for her father. And it's like, okay, that's more of like a character.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly she's at the concierge desk and she's like, hubba, who's this big hunk of meat? And it's like, guys, I understand that Sherilyn Fenn is attractive. You, first of all, don't need to start every scene with her by doing a toe-to-head camera tilt. Second, you don't need her to be like in a relationship all the time.
And if you wanted to, what you're saying, like you could show her growth of like now she's in a relationship, but she's had all these experiences and she's not just like doe-eyed or whatever anymore. She's different, but she's just doing the same stuff with Cooper.
Right.
Exactly. Really good point. But he immediately captures her heart and suggests that he's going, I don't know, he's here to help. He's like a fixer, right? His business plan, which I find so fascinating, is he like he gets hired by failing businesses. He fixes them by what he says, like I expedite their work or whatever. Like I just, make everything better, and then I sell it and I make a lot of money. And it like grosses me out because it's a pretty common career path for some business people to just be that sort of fixer. And no, who am I to judge? I'm also in business school myself, but like this is not the kind of work I would ever want to do. This like I just profit off of failing businesses basically. I find it weird and a little bit reprehensible, but that's more my personal bias against it than anything else. It gives them an excuse to have another rich pretty boy. Like that's basically what his purpose is. But it also means that we get to see a version of Ben Horn who is returning to normal, and that he's healthy and sobering up, if you want to call it that, or getting out of his funk because he's chewing on a celery stick instead of smoking cigars.
Yeah. And there's
That's
a moment where
great.
he goes to smoke the cigar and then like puts it out, which is like,
King.
Okay, he's trying.
We stan.
He also in the next episode has a tall glass of milk, which I don't know if we commented on. We recorded that half first, but yeah, he's also not boozing it up. He's just drinking big tall glasses of milk, eating celery sticks.
That
Honestly,
works for me.
Yeah.
All that Ben Horn stuff works for me for sure.
Yeah. He's in his tracksuit. I loved the slow roll of like, okay, I've got a plan. Like, let's bring everybody together. And then he pulls down the thing and he's like, here's this weasel.
He gets everyone on the
this
too
pine
small
weasel.
couch. He gets too many
Yeah.
people on the couch.
Yeah.
Weasel.
Yeah. This is all about the weasel. And then Jerry says,
It is nearly extinct.
They're incredible roasted.
I just love that Jerry's here.
Happy.
Good to have
I'm
you.
happy that he's here. Keep him here.
They're incredible roast.
I almost consider. I'm not sure if what I'm going to use for the thumbnail, but Ben pointing to a thing that just says Pine Weasel, hilarious. If not, Josie Doorknob. Those are my two guesses for our picks for thumbnail right now.
It's gotta be Josie Doorknob.
That's too
right?
easy. I always like to go a little bit deep. We got to go a little bit deeper, darling.
Okay.
Also
darling.
worth noting, Ben's plan is like kind of effed up in an interesting way. So he wants to use this mask of like environmentalism and like saving the animals and the forest as a mask to make more money, and also to like save the Ghostwood estate so that she can't buy it.
Yeah, I don't even know that he's standing to make money off of this. It's just that Catherine has that land or has that project deal or whatever, and he just wants to like gum up the works
Yeah.
with
That's-
the weasel thing.
A fascinating indictment of like rich environmentalism, environmentalist capitalism is to be like, well, I don't actually really want to save the environment. I just want to do it so that they can't have it.
Yeah, it's like a conservative environmentalism.
Bingo. You're the person working on environmentalist stuff, Chaz.
In a way.
Mm-hmm. in a manner of speaking.
Yeah, I feel there's a tradition. I mean, and then to toss it to Magellan, there's like, the Teddy Roosevelt kind of school of like, it's the great outdoors and we got to keep it pristine and keep it pure. And then that kind of shades into like newer ecofascism stuff of like, you can love nature and also hate like outsiders at the same time.
Yeah, and Ben Horn certainly frames it that way as like, I want to keep Twin Peaks the way it is like kind of how he puts it out there, which is not a sort of like stirring environmental message for the ages. It's like rooted in like nostalgia and conservatism and yeah.
They're all mask off now in this part. Now that the
But I think the thing is like Ben Horn, it seems like he's buying his own bullshit a little bit, and like that's like one of the pernicious parts of it is like this is your brain on philanthropy basically. He's like, oh yeah, this is the good that I can bring to the world is stopping this other thing, but doing what I'm doing still. I'm gonna keep doing my stuff.
It's good when I do it. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting point. We don't have much left on the environmentalist stuff. That mostly comes into play in the second episode, But Shelley and Norma and Ed and Nadine all have some things going on. They reference that Annie's coming on the next bus. We'll meet her next episode. I was excited, though, to hear them mention her. And Wyndham Earl is just like, I guess he's listening in for like to find his next target. But I just like that he is like, I guess I'm vibing at the Double R. Like, I'll take a coffee and pie too. Like, just like Cooper's doing his investigation, Earl is doing his own sort of investigation.
Yeah,
Parallels.
That's true. That's a good point.
Shelley has one of my favorite lines she's ever said. I think this is in regards to Hank going back to jail. She says sounds like prison to me. No TV, no boyfriends. Which is a mood, first of all. And then out of nowhere, Big Ed just slams open the door and he says, Norma Jennings, will you marry me? Ed, the pacing of the Ed Norma stuff is just bizarre to me, is what I think I'm going to get at.
They made it all happen in this episode.
Yeah, exactly.
It's go time. We're putting the hammer down. We're going to do all the breakups.
Yeah, Nadine's
we're getting
like,
married.
Let's break up, and Ed hugs her and then has this huge grin on his face. It's not huge, but he's clearly smiling like, yay, finally, I can do this. Yeah.
My weird wife is not going to be with me anymore, and I can have a cool wife. But
there
it leads
are also
to
multiple moments. I can't remember if it's this episode or the next one where characters are like, no more lies between us. Like people.
Yeah, they said it twice in this episode.
Yeah.
In different scenes.
They're constantly
keep
saying it.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's no more lies. It's a soap opera. They don't want people to lie, but they have to because that makes the story happen. This does give us the best scene of this episode, and I think I almost like we don't like skip lists here anyways, but I especially think that this scene is worth watching if you care at all about the Norma Hank stuff, because like episode after episode of her being like, I guess I'll stay with him. He seems like he's still abusive though. Oh, he is abusive. Oh no. And finally she visits him in jail and she's like, I'm breaking up with you. I'm finally taking control. And he's like, great, sounds good. But you have to get me off. And then you can have your divorce and be with Big Ed and do whatever the hell you want with your dumb life. And she's like, no, I have the powers here. I have the power here. You don't have to tell me what to do. And then she drops a bombshell of a line.
Yeah, this is that exchange.
You're his whore, Norma.
I'd rather be his whore than your wife.
Ooh.
I want the but I'm not a rapper, like everyone going, oh!
Put it down!
Yeah, put it down.
Here, has this friendship ended with being your wife and not his whore? Now best friends with his whore and not your wife.
Am I having a stroke right now?
One of those.
You know the meme I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
I'm now picturing the one with the two muscular arms, and one of the arms says his whore, and the other says not your wife. Classic.
What's the middle? Is it me? Wait.
Or the one where it's the guy who's like looking away from his girl, like, ooh, at the hot girl's passing by, and the lady he's looking at says his whore. The person he's with says
your wife. Yeah, that's good. That one I get.
Or
Okay.
there's a good one where a guy's like dumping a huge bottle of olive oil onto a salad, and it's like so it's to show that there's like too much of something going on to something else.
Yeah.
So he's dumping on being his whore instead of your wife. He's dumping that onto the salad in a massive quantity, and he of course is Norma.
Tell me you're tell me you're his whore and not your wife without telling me you're his
whore, not your wife. It's the two Spider-Men pointing at each other, and one of them is his whore, and the other one is your wife. They're pointing at each other.
Oh my god!
Should we end the podcast for good?
Oh, it's over. No, that was a great. I mean,
it's a good scene.
It's awesome to see Norma being like, "No, screw you, you suck," and to see Hank in this scene and the scene with Truman, like just completely dropping any pretense of the bullshit that he's trying to spew about, like, no, I'm a cool guy. So quickly, he's like, all right, Norma, well, fuck you. Here's the deal. And for her to hold in the face of that and be like, all right, bye. was great. Much needed moment, and I'm glad that it happened.
And the reason that it's fun to meme is like, I feel like all those memes come from like genuine emotional moments that like work. And then it's fun to make fun of and use for something else because it's like a little gem of something. So it's a real moment that worked. Whenever you guys want, maybe at the end of the episode, I have one more of those that I want to do. But
another meme.
You just let me know. We can do it when we're not rolling.
Oh yeah, we're rolling right now. I have one other normal line that I wanted to bring up. Alan, do you have more to say about this scene? Sorry.
No, I don't. That was it. It's a good scene.
It's just great. I think, I don't know. There's a whole, I don't think we have the time or we're in the mood to get into this, but there's a whole sexual politics conversation about, stigmatizing being someone's whore. And then the next episode, Cooper's like, Truman, by the way, Josie was a prostitute. And he's like, what the fuck? And it's like, there's stuff going on there, but Norma twisted and she, it's good. It's a good moment. There's like this really stupid Norma line earlier where Shelley's reading the thing from Wyndham Earle that's like, come to the double R, the meeting of the angels, da 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 da. And Norma says,
It sounds intriguing in a way, but it sounds dangerous.
it's like, yeah, thanks.
What?
For some
It's
reason,
real value add.
that line just jumped out at me. Sounds intriguing.
It reads like a Simpsons line or
but
something.
it sounds dangerous.
You could just tack that on so many places in this show, and it would add the same amount.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Wyndham Earle hands the three girls all their different pieces of paper that are like love, flowers, blooming, magical, and they're like, it's intriguing in a way.
But it sounds dangerous. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of women taking power, James is back.
Yeah.
Cue audience laughter and clapping, and everyone freaks out. No, so just basically Donna and him are like, James, you're back, and he's like, I gotta go find myself, and she's like, okay, and you'll come back someday, James, won't you? Yeah, I will. Okay, I'm so glad we're here, and we had a picnic, and I'm sorry about Evelyn, and you take however much time you need. And we'll be back together someday. It's a little capper. We don't ever have to vote. The James and Donna plot has been bookended and is done. There is no more nonsense.
Donna is just too good of a person for this life that she is stuck in. Like, she's so... James is... Maddie dies, and then James is like, I gotta go. And then he's like half a week out of town, and he's like, by the way... you can totally tell that I had sex with this other lady, like, right away. and Donna's like, hey, it's cool. I get it. Just come home. And he's like, yeah, I can't come home right now. You could come with me. And she's like, oh my God, this guy. I just felt really bad for Donna because...
Well, I think what's a bummer is it also makes you realize that the Evelyn plot didn't change James too much.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, all right, I will now continue this journey to self-discovery. And it's like, dude, when are you done? At what point do you finally realize that what you need is right here in Twin Peaks? It's all here. You park the bike, dude.
Right.
So he goes off into the sunset, and I don't even remember if we see James again. It's like weird realizing, like, is this the last time we see certain characters? I don't know.
Well, he's in season 3.
I know that, but like in this part of the show.
Yeah, I don't remember if he's in season 2 again or not.
I did genuinely love their scene though, but like part of what got me was it's really, really beautifully shot. I thought like that picnic scene. So I was having a happy moment watching that of like, oh, season 2 is great.
It definitely was, an idyllic little scene for sure.
And she says, like, this is the most beautiful place and we've never been here. I wanted to take you somewhere neither of us have been to before. Which I thought was kind of fun. Thanks, Donna. I appreciate that. Wow. Yes, I confirmed. This is the last time we see James in Twin Peaks season 2.
Oh,
that's so weird.
You know. There's like book stuff that fills in where he did. It's really dumb. But
yeah.
thanks, James. Salute to the king himself, the best character on the show.
Yeah.
I'm being suffocated by plot. There's a brief. I know we're not in story notes yet, but just like there's a scene that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about, but I loved, which is like when Truman. They're sending Truman after Eckhart because they're like going to tell him like, oh, Josie's with Eckhart. And in that scene, Pete is untangling Fisher's twine and Catherine is reading Great Expectations. And I just want to shout out the like beautiful set dressing of that.
Yeah. And the moment
really
where
good.
Cooper's on the bed with the fake fishing line.
So he's just throwing the fishing line thing.
I like that a lot.
Good.
Can I get a 10-hour cut of that, actually?
And I love that moment where Pete is deep in the fishing line trying to untangle it, and Catherine refuses to get up to answer the door.
She just looks at him, and he's like, "Urgh," like I'm playing my Game Boy, Mom.
Yeah.
It's really good, yeah. And the last thing I have here is just about the Wyndham Earl stuff. Shelley and Donna share a cigarette at the Roadhouse. It's really weird to see Shelley exist in relationship to Donna or Audrey. It's just very strange to me.
Mm-hmm.
These women aren't supposed to talk to each other. This is against the rules, the unspoken rules of Twin Peaks.
Don't worry, they broke the Bechdel test pretty quick, so
immediately,
it's okay. Don't worry about it.
They all got pieces of paper from a mysterious man that form when you hold them next to each other, a little poem, which almost sounded like it was going to be the Fire Walk With Me poem. It like starts to rhyme with that, but it's not.
What was Wyndham Earl trying to do? He just wanted to scope them out?
Yeah, I think he wanted to get them all in one place. So he could see which one he's going to do evil things with.
Right.
Kidnap, eat. I don't know. I genuinely don't remember.
And he just said, like, to save the one you love or whatever, just to make sure they got there.
Yeah.
And then all three of them were like, huh, weird. Anyway, all right, see you later.
Such a weird, like, I don't know. Never would happen today. Hey, I got a note from a random dude that says, come here or else. Save the one you love. Oh, I think I'm going to do it.
Shelley hops in the group chat with the other
Now
folks.
it would be a tweet thread that you have to put together.
Right. It would be a tweet thread.
Let's hear that meme, Charlie. What's that other
Yeah, give me
Oh,
the
yeah! Okay. Oh, my God. You guys, you really... Okay.
What's that mean?
So, hey, can I... It's like you're at the store or something. Can I get a being his whore, not your wife? Oh, we have that at home. And then it's like cut to the being his whore, not your wife at home. It's being your wife and not his whore.
I'm going to have to listen to that one back in the edit because... Shit, Charlie.
Holy shit, that's so funny.
I had to write it out because I wouldn't have been able to say it.
It's always the best kind of joke.
Oh my God.
Oh
man.
What is the context of Truman saying "put it down"? What's the context
gun.
of that?
He's talking about
He's
the
talking
gun
to
that
Josie's pointing a gun at Coop.
And then he says,
we also learned in this one for sure that Josie shot Cooper, which is never the reason for that is never explained.
No, it is. It is. I had a feeling you were going to write this. She says it. She says, "I shot you because you came here."
Oh, okay.
It's
Like
a throwaway
to town?
line. Well, so here's my question. What she says is, I shot you because you came here. Because you came, yes, to Twin Peaks. Not because you came to my room. Because you came to Twin Peaks. You dug into things that you weren't supposed to find out about. And I knew that, like, an FBI investigator and, like, looking into the murder of Laura Palmer was going to dig up stuff about me. And that's why I shot you. Because you were, you know, it's the noir thing. Like, you poked your nose in the wrong places.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. How would she know that he was going to find her stuff? I just, that part felt really undercooked in the episode.
And also the thing that doesn't fully line up is like Josie, I guess the thing that she was trying to hide is that she had a hand in Andrew's death, but it was under duress. Like at a certain point, all the Thomas Eckert stuff makes her agency in it so confused, and I don't really get that anymore. You know?
Yeah.
I just don't think you need Thomas Eckert like for any reason narratively.
Yeah.
No, certainly.
I don't think he serves any purpose at all.
Sorry, I was completely thrown for a loop because I was sent a link to a Gunpla that's styled after Nike, a Nike Gunpla collab, which is a direct targeted ad at me. Anyways, unrelated. Rest in peace, Josie. Thank you.
The other thing I was thinking about Josie is like, what is it that she's missing? Because we definitely all have this sense that they've somehow done her dirty. Even, she has these plots where she kills people and she's kind of getting thrown around by power, but like, it feels like maybe you never see her on screen with that more like conniving agency side of her. Could be part of what what's like missing for her. You never see her like preparing for one of her kills or making plans. You just hear later like, oh yeah, Josie did a kill.
She did a whole good kill. It's pretty crazy, guys.
Like, is that part of it too? Like we're not quite given her like full character as described by all of her actions. I think that's an issue.
Thanks, Joan Chen. It's just sorry. I've just run out of steam with Josie because, like I said, there was never steam.
There wasn't steam. Yeah.
And like maybe you can tell me that the books fleshed out Josie a lot more, but I don't think I care anymore. I don't think it's like I can find more interesting like Asian women characters in other TV shows. Twin Peaks doesn't have to serve everybody. And that's what I'm starting to realize with season 2 is like, okay, some of these plots are bad and that's fine. Like it's okay. And you can find this stuff done better elsewhere.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks doesn't have to be this like perfect text just because we mythologize it that way.
What about the sweating spaceman in front of the 2 buttons? And one of the buttons says his
Your whore.
And the other
His
one
whore.
says not your wife.
Your wife.
And he's like tapping his forehead. Like,
yeah.
Oh God.
That's it might be the best one yet.
It's the why are you running vine and the fucking husband is his whore. No, the woman running is let me get it correct, please. The man is his whore and the woman running is your wife. There you go. And she's like running away from him. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if I follow that one.
I don't follow any of these. I didn't follow
that one at all, but I made all the noises that I would have made if I was following it.
I saw
My brain's burnt.
and Andrew from the Channel 5 YouTube channel interviewed Chet Hanks recently, and there's a part in that episode where Chet Hanks just starts freestyling, and every time he goes, "No, I mean," and every time he says, "Know what I mean," Andrew goes, "Yeah." It's so funny. Please check that out.
Chet Hanks is White Boy Summer.
Yeah, he is. He talks about that.
White Boy Summer in the end? That was this summer, right?
Yeah.
Shit,
I missed it. Do it again. I wasn't looking.
Definitely
was?
Summer of New York.
Yeah, it was.
Wait, I thought New York was dead.
But now that we're wrapping up summer 2021.
Yeah, what do we think?
Was it a hot boy summer?
White Boy Summer.
White Boy Summer.
Sorry. Was it a white boy summer?
Because it was a hot girl summer before, but now it's a white boy summer.
Hey, Charlie, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on my Instagram.
That's at his whore, not your wife. Or you're gonna post all these memes.
At ChuckYouBus with 2 S's, or my Twitter Charlie Deck, which I'm taking just slightly more seriously in preparation to like try to post my newer projects. And I've always got a couple pieces on the New Yorker and McSweeney's if you like short humor stuff.
Hey, dude, can I follow you on GitHub?
You can follow me on GitHub, but also Charlie Deck. I just see the data for my new website.
Ooh, I love data and data sets and things like that.
You've often talked about that. Mm-hmm. Not the first time I'm hearing.
You're always saying this. And while we have you here, Charlie, do you have a chatsum this week?
Yes. My chatsum this week is to get really into like a big book, like a big, great book. I just bought a great big book called Stalingrad. That's 1,000 pages. It's a seething fresco of the conflict at Stalingrad.
This MF's Mom, pick me up. Charlie's talking about seething frescoes.
It's a seething fresco. It is a seething fresco.
The more you say it, it doesn't get more a real thing people say.
What else is there to say about it? Did I say
what is it? What's it about? It's about the event.
I hear myself now saying it again, and I have said seething fresco already. I can kind of tell as I form the words.
This podcast, I don't know more. Stалingrad's a good book. It's by Anthony Beaver. It's about the battle.
I haven't started it yet.
Oh my god!
I haven't started it yet, but the project of getting myself this huge book and getting excited about, like, I'm gonna dive all the way in. I'm gonna be totally enveloped in Stalingrad for like weeks, and it's gonna be like this, fall book for me. Is a really fun project to take on.
I love that for you. And I wish you the best of luck. And I think getting into a big, great book is a fantastic chatsum. I've been trying to read Dune since January. I'm about two-thirds of the way through it. I'm really liking it. I have not read it because we're reading other things. Great. Thanks, Charlie. Legitimately love the shit out of you, no matter how much I tease and act silly on the pod. I would love to kiss your forehead the next time I'm in whatever city you guys are from. Chicago, Delaware, what is it?
Brooklyn.
A bunch of gremlins coming out of the woodworks to go Brooklyn. All the rats that live in the... I'm just kidding. Great. Well, Magellan, if that's cool with you, then we are going to take it to a brief musical break, and we will be right back to discuss Wounds and Scars. PeaksChatz, everyone. I'm still Alan, and that is still Magellan. Magellan, put it down! Put it down! I've never heard such incredible angry acting in my recent memory as Michael Onkeen in these episodes, dude.
Eventually, it's going to help you to know she was a hardened criminal. A killer.
Criminal.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it is.
I know it's not easy right now. Just get out of here.
It's free real estate.
Get out of here! Go!
He does so much shouting in this episode. Oh my god.
So much, Michael. What's happening? It's because he's Canadian. All Canadians.
We'll get to it, but honestly, I kind of liked it.
Yeah. I viscerally hated it. No, I viscerally hated it the first time I watched it. This time I was like, okay, this is interesting. If you're not sure what we're referring to, first of all, Second of all, it's season 2, episode 17, Wounds and Scars. This episode was directed by James Foley, the director of the adaptation of Glengarry Glen Ross, a directorial touch that we will discuss. And it was written by Barry Pullman, and it aired February 9th, 1991. Magellan, can you tell me what happened in Wounds and Scars?
In this episode, Harry sinks into a deep depression after Josie's death. Josie's body holds more questions than answers. Norma's troubled sister, Annie, arrives in Twin Peaks. Wheeler and Audrey hit it off.
Ugh.
Cooper's stalemate angers Earl.
It's a bit. I give that summary a 3.5 out of 5.
It does a good job of reminding me of all the plots I hated.
Exactly. It's sort of an outline, a border, if you will.
Yeah.
So after the bombshell that was the end of last episode, you would think that Twin Peaks would have to wrestle with a lot of heavy ideas. What does it mean for someone to get their spirit absorbed out of their body and into an object? And you would think that it's about wounds and scars and how those deaths or not deaths affect us in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
It is not about these things. Wyndham Earl's a little nasty man, and also Annie's here, and also Wheeler and Audrey hit it off.
I mean, for a show that was once this layered and multifaceted tableau of what grief can look like, it has now become get out of here. Oh, Truman broke all the furniture. He's so mad and sad. What the hell is happening? It just is like complete. I don't even want to degrade a soap opera by calling it soap opera because it's really just like melodrama, you know?
Yeah.
It's like laughable to a certain extent, and also it kind of circles back around to being really compelling.
Well, and it does what even season 1 occasionally did, where it's like deeply weird and confusing for a little while, and then it's like great, and you're like, wait, stay here, and then they're like, no, now we're doing something completely unrelated and silly, and like just tonal whiplash all over the place, very serious and then very ridiculous. In a way, season 2 is as Twin Peaks has ever been. Even this, like, there's sort of 3 phases I'm realizing to season 2, right? There's early season 2, which is like amazing, really interesting, whiffs the themes a little bit. Good television. Then there's like middle Twin Peaks where you're like, oh, is this how we're bouncing back? Okay, I guess I'm okay with this sort of setting of the table. And then there's like back third Twin Peaks season 2 where you're like, are you guys like running away from like a boogie monster who's trying to cancel you? You're like, no, wait. Norma has a sister and she's like 20 years younger. It's just like throwing idea. And Harry, I don't know what to do with him. Cooper is a side character in this episode. Like literally, Cooper, I run my notes, feels like he has been relegated to C tier character in this.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating. I do find it more compelling than I did the first time I watched it, because now I know not to be like, well, when does it get good again? It's like, well, okay, this is just what it is for a while. I want to first start by talking about the Log Lady quote and see if we can parse this one a little bit.
Sure.
Because I had to watch this one on Hulu due to time constraints, so I didn't get to watch this, but I read it and I found it fascinating. So sometimes, let's say all times, things are changing. We are judged as human beings on how we treat our fellow human beings. How do you treat your fellow human beings? At night, just before sleep, as you lay by yourself in the dark, how do you feel about yourself? Are you proud of your behavior? Are you ashamed of your behavior? You know in your heart if you have hurt someone. You know. If you have hurt someone, don't wait another day before making things right. The world could break apart with sadness in the meantime. Just be nice to people, guys. Aw. Thanks, Margaret. At least this one feels like it's a return to trying to like talk about some ideas and tone for the episode, and not just hey, it's the principle of the thing. That's what I hate about high school. Like just the Log Lady doing her tight 5. And I think if you really are gonna just try and pull a interesting thematic idea out of this, it's another grief story. And it's also just like, what does normal life in Twin Peaks start to look like when we're so far gone past the lore and mystery that we are just like the mill plot we joked in season 1 was this annoying side thing we didn't care about. And now the mill plot is the show. The mill plot is the A plot almost. And this whole Ghostwood thing with Ben is like, this is just what the show is about. Did you find that stuff interesting?
Well, I think it's not quite. I mean, grief is certainly here, but I think what the Log Lady intro is speaking to is the thing that ties together Truman and Ben Horn and the Ghostwood stuff is what she says about what does she say again? It's like about conscience, or like what you've done to people.
If you've hurt someone, don't wait another day before making things right. You know in your heart if you've hurt someone.
Yeah. And so I think there are multiple characters in this episode who are trying to like fix mistakes that they've made, and even Cooper to a certain extent, right, is like dealing with the weight of mistakes that he's made in his past. Truman is feeling like he had made this huge mistake by sort of overlooking perhaps obvious signs that there was something going on with Josie failing in a pretty significant way as like a lawman because of that. And also trying to grapple with the fact that he felt like their relationship really was good for him. And then Ben Horn, you know, who knows how sincerely Catherine Martell can't quite tell. But Ben Horn speaking about like, I've been a bad guy and I want to be a good guy now and clean my dirty conscience. That seems like what this episode is about. I mean, it's not quite as cohesive as maybe I just like said that it was.
Yeah.
But I think that what I'm finding from the Log Lady intros is that David Lynch, when he wrote those, was really good at like, after the fact, finding a theme that kind of works well enough. And I think that's what's going on in this one.
Yeah, you wouldn't think watching the episode that that's what this is about, but you read that afterwards and you're like, oh, yeah, actually, okay. And I think that in that way, it definitely succeeds. Because when you try your best, but you don't succeed and you get what you want, but not what you need.
Not what you need, yeah.
And you feel so tired. Honestly, I feel so tired, but I can't sleep and I'm stuck in reverse.
Yeah.
Anyways, James Foley directed this episode and you can tell right away because the first like 10 minutes or whatever are this like Josie montage with the reflection of a whiskey glass. It's not 10 minutes.
No, but it feels like it.
Oh, it really does, man. It's just like, I understand it. It's supposed to be like, hey, this just happened and we're not done. Like it's echoing, it's rippling out. But like, what killed Josie Packard really? Like, and that's the thing that makes the grief story so hard is everyone in the show handles it like this is so unfair. I can't believe she was taken from us. And it's like, okay, but by who? Like we, the viewer, no longer have the context that apparently the characters do, because what we saw was just the disappearance, and then bam, she's in a drawer now. Like, I guess they don't know that is the understanding. I don't think it's ever really addressed. So they just think she's fully dead. But
why would that give them any more answers than what we have? From their perspective, she just dropped dead for no reason.
From stress?
Right.
It's weird. Something. It's weird.
We talked a couple episodes ago last episode maybe, about the James and Evelyn plot and about how Diane Keaton's directing made, through the direction, Evelyn became this like protagonist of the plot, where other episodes had not positioned her in that way. And it kind of feels like James Foley is like pushing to do a similar thing with Harry Truman here, where, I mean, obviously, he is a protagonist of the plot to a certain extent. Like the emotional arc is his arc in this episode. And so he's not fighting the script as much as Diane Keaton had to, but there are just moments that are like designed to fashion Harry Truman as this like beleaguered noir protagonist who we're supposed to like care deeply for and recognize his struggles. And, he's in the dimly lit book house and he's got his whiskey bottle and all that stuff. And
he's stacking the artifacts of a police office around him and standing on them like a throne or whatever.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's just too much. Like, just let him be a little sad, We don't need to do all of this.
It's super weird. I also forgot what else James Foley directed. If you're curious, he did a good amount of TV. He did some House of Cards and Wayward Pines. He also did the second two 50 Shades movies, 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed. So I think he does have a feel for the like smoky, sexual, very, very, very darkly lit. Like the scenes with Harry and Cooper are like practically pitch black. I don't think there's any like artificial lighting in that scene. It's very striking. Not as striking as the Diane Keaton episode, just by design. I think he doesn't do all the talking with the camera and whatnot. It's more like lighting and set dressing. But I thought it was still like a pretty competently directed episode. And I more want to bring this up because an underappreciated element of season 2 of Twin Peaks is this way that like they just brought in different directors to be like, what do you think Twin Peaks is? Oh, it's like a depressing noir. Okay. Oh, you think it's like a sexual murder mystery? Sure. Why not? You think it's a teen drama? Why not? Like just throwing stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks. And I think that's really a great way for like newer directors to like test out their chops, so to speak. But anyways, we also get the introduction of the wonderful, as fake doctors would say, the beautiful, the amazing, the lovely, so attractive
Jesus Christ.
Heather Graham. She's here as Annie. Annie, are you okay?
Man. Okay. So we haven't recorded our first half discussion yet, but we can sort of like assume some things that we've probably talked about.
Yeah.
one of those things being that all of a sudden, like you were saying, this show is sprinting from cancellation and introducing brand new characters and new relationships. And it's like, guys, you have 4 or 5 episodes left. Stop it. What are you doing?
Hit him with the newspaper. Like, guys, because last episode we get Wheeler and this one we get Annie and
Yeah.
more Wheeler. And it's like, stop. I can't take this. I can't.
And there's just this weird vibe of like, hey, Audrey and Cooper are too hot to not have a love interest, so we gotta get some people in here.
and it's inappropriate for them to date each other, so instead we're gonna give them both sort of age appropriate people, but not really.
Not for Cooper or for Audrey. Yeah, I'm sure we talked about that in the first half, but that was fucking weird. Anyway, here's my problem with Annie. First of all, it's just like random that she's here this late in this season. Fine. Maybe they thought they were getting more episodes or whatever. We can forgive that. The age difference, Heather Graham at this point is about 20 years old. I looked it up.
Okay. Oof, though.
Right. Because I think Sherilyn Fenn is older than Heather Graham. Audrey is like, she says in the previous episode, she's 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we know that. We're not given an age for Annie, but she doesn't look that old. She can't be older than like early 20s. And you go through all of this trouble, this narrative trouble of like inventing a brand new person for Cooper to be in a relationship with, right?
Right.
You contrive a reason for a new woman to come to town. It's Norma's, I don't know, sister. Didn't she just have a mom?
Roll the dice.
Right, yeah. It's like, didn't she just have a mom come to town? Yeah, whatever. She has a sister too. Norma is not 20 years old.
There's no universe where she's that young. Yeah.
So you're doing this really weird narrative thing where you're saying like, yeah, this character, has a sister, but the sister is like way younger than her. And
Heather Graham, by the way, is 5 years younger than Sherilyn Fenn.
Jesus Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't fix the issue. Sure, textually, it doesn't seem like Annie is a high schooler in the text of the show.
Mm.
But, like, I'm looking at the show, and it doesn't feel much different than that to me right now. And that bothered me quite a bit in this episode.
Yeah, portray Annie as you will, world weary, a little bit cynical and jaded and like sick of the convent life. Also, the whole like young woman coming out of a convent thing has its own like sexual politics,
Mm-hmm.
I watch this and the tears come streaming down my face because you've lost something that you can't replace. And when you love a show but it goes to waste, I mean, my question to you, John, is could it be worse? I don't know.
So you need to be fixed.
You can try. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, though. That's okay. I'll try to fix you. Anyways, I have Coldplay on the brain, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's not much to say about Annie, though. She's introduced. Cooper, like, his tongue rolls out of his mouth when he sees her and goes, "Oh, girl." Even though, like, he just got, like, fired and his best friend lost the girl who also tried to kill him. He's, like, not in a position to be falling in love right now, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of this episode, because is the James and Donna stuff thing in this episode where they go like, I guess I do love you.
Oh, I don't even remember. No, it was in the previous one.
It's in the previous one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people just going like, okay, I guess the show's almost over. Let's just get hitched and figure it out. And not literally get married, but the like, I guess we're good now. And I don't need Cooper to have a relationship. And I like Heather Graham as an actress a lot. I think she's great. She actually brings a decent like acting chop to this, even these little scenes where she's talking to Norma. Mm-hmm. Norma, by the way, we never mentioned this, but in case people like don't know if we know this, Peggy Lipton passed away recently, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, pretty young. May 2019 at the age of 72. Was married to Quincy Jones. and was
Okay.
the mother of Rashida Jones.
Oh, I knew that once, and she looks so much like Rashida Jones.
Yep.
That makes so
Well,
much
Rashida Jones
sense.
looks like her.
Well, yeah, they look like each other. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. And I learned this recently. In some other languages and other cultures, that's how you would grammatically phrase that, is the younger person always has to look like the older person. It's a weird thing. It's your fun little linguistics fact for the day. Like in Arabic, it works like that. So whatever, that happens. We've got Annie. We've got Wyndham Earl being grumpy. Beats up
The one thing that makes those Annie Cooper scenes tolerable is just how charming. I mean, Heather Graham is charming, sure.
She's charming.
But also Kyle MacLachlan is incredibly charming.
And hot. Yeah.
The way that he delivers this single word here, I loved it.
I made it a little strong.
Okay.
Just a little. Okay. Give me my coffee, please.
Full mouth. Give me
Pretty
sippy.
lady.
He's like he's like Baby Yoda holding the little cup. He's like,
yeah, you
Yum.
could meme that. Okay. So cute.
Such a cute boy. Speaking of cute boys.
I mean, it just seems like Annie exists to be a part of the Wyndham Earl plot also.
Yeah.
Because like Wyndham Earl is present for the moment where Cooper and Annie meet each other. And
In one of his dumbest disguises. Is
Yeah,
this the one he's in the
yeah.
biker outfit?
yeah, he's in the biker outfit. And so you know that because he's already poking around like, oh, who's the queen? Who am I gonna
Make my queen.
kill? Make my
Yeah.
queen. And then he sees Cooper liking a new lady. He's like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. And so it just adds some frustration because you know already that they're gonna like damsel the hell out of Annie as a character.
Right.
So anyway.
There's kind of a lot that happens in this episode, but it's all like super dumb and brief. Just, I want to shout out my man's Dick Tremaine. Holistically in this episode for bringing a lot of joy here. I think it's Audrey. It's like the camera pans up her legs because gross, and then it cuts, and then it goes straight over, and Dick Tremaine is there, and you're like, oh, I guess you're still in the show. And she's like, oh, Pinkle is gonna bring over the whatever the thing is called, the little, not otter,
The weasel.
the weasel.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's going to be Pinkle. And he says, what's a Pinkle? But he says it like, what's a Pinkle? And like, as if he's never even thought of hearing that word before. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And also he hosts the pageant at the end of this episode, which is some good, like,
Right.
the Ghostwood like fashion show thing.
Right.
I enjoyed that. Then I realized that I've been watching this scene for like 8 minutes and I don't know why it's in the show.
Consumed the back half of this episode.
Yeah.
So much of it was this sequence.
It's longer than it needs to be, and it has nothing to do with absolutely anything other than just an excuse to put people in fun outfits. And I, as someone who likes to put people in fun outfits, I get it. But like, come, and then like the pine weasel, it runs free and it like bites Dick Tremaine's nose, and like I thought this was fun, but like, why Twin Peaks? Why?
Unnecessary, yeah. It's
And
just like,
Wheeler and Audrey in the corner are like, I guess it's time for our characters to make out.
I hate the presence of that guy so much.
You don't like Billy Zane?
No.
No. He's so boring in this. Like, he's kind of blank. I'm gonna say this again in the first half. He's like blankly hot, but
Yeah.
he has nothing behind it. He's got like it's
like
not
the
even in a himbo way.
The only thing he is hot.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like really hot. But it's
Yeah.
all he is. He's not even like good looking. You know what I'm saying?
I totally do. He's hot but not good looking. No, I do know what you mean. Yeah.
It's just like an energy. Like he just has this like sexual energy, and I am not here for it in this particular context.
It's nothing he's saying. A lot of his stuff is just like Audrey said this. I will say a nice thing in response. I am friends with your dad. Would you like to go to a picnic? And it's like, do something, Wheeler. Jesus, man.
Yeah.
You're bouncing against You're acting against Sherilyn Fenn. Like, you can bring it, dude. You're allowed. It just feels like he's shaky or something.
I mean, the character just doesn't make any sense.
Right, that too. It's just like, okay, your dad has a friend, and he's a business school guy, and he they talk about, and we'll talk about more of that with the first half, with the whole his business plan, which sucks. But I think one of the creepiest Wyndham Earl scenes, maybe of the show, also occurs in this episode.
Oh God.
With Donna's house.
God, the show is this. Donna keeps experiencing these horrendous moments and like getting a day to breathe in between them.
Mm-hmm.
Like she saw a guy get shot 2 days ago, maybe. Her, friend's cousin was murdered a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Her friend was murdered like 3 weeks ago. This is like a terrible month.
Ben tried like assaulting her in her own house.
Yeah.
And then, hey guys, it's Wyndham Earl disguising himself. Like, this is legitimately like unsettling. This guy tells her that he is a friend of her dad's from school and has a very convincing story about how like they went to school together and like we were good pals. And, I know that he did this and that. And we left each other for a while. We fell out of touch and I'm back and I want him to have this present. And he leaves. And he doesn't have to like attack her here. It's just the fact that he is good with like words and disguises that fools Donna successfully. But what makes it really creepy is when Doc Hayward and her mother come home and he does the classic like, Gerald Craig, that guy died several years ago. And they call the number and they're like, it's a cemetery. I kind of giggled at that. I thought it was goofy.
Silly, yeah.
It's silly in a really serious scene though. And the box that he gave Donna had a chess piece in it because he just can't stop playing chess with Cooper, even when it's with another character.
Yeah.
But like, legitimately super unsettling.
Super unsettling, yeah. Definitely.
Ugh. Is Ben Horn at her house to be creepy with her mom at one point? There's like a brief shot where he like comes through the door.
Yeah, I was trying to remember where this goes. I think I remember. Do we care about creating a spoiler zone for this?
I don't think we need to create a spoiler zone for this.
I think it's supposed to look like something, and then it turns out to be he's doing something good.
Oh, sure. Sure. Yeah. That does sound right.
I think that's what's going on there.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. You're supposed to stress about that. So that was all weird, all the Wyndham Earl stuff. And he's realizing that Cooper is playing with the intent to not lose any more pieces. And he's getting angry because he says Cooper doesn't know how to do that. He's clearly getting help.
Right.
Really smart of Wyndham over here.
Yeah, it was cool that you figured that out so fast.
Mm-hmm. Right. It didn't we didn't beat around the bush with that plot line for 100 episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
I did also, speaking of the chess plot, enjoy Pete explaining the subtlety of chess to Andy and Lucy as they play chess together, and she like kicks Andy's ass.
Yeah, I've got that clip right here.
My students.
Mr. Martell, Andy moved his knight without doing the little hook thing.
You don't have to do the little hook thing. That's optional.
Andy, the knight has to do the little hook thing.
Every time?
It's a privilege. No one else gets to make that move.
Okay, Mr. Martell.
I guess some people don't know quite as much as they think they do.
That reminded me a lot of being in class, along with the moment where Pinkle takes the stage in the fashion show thing.
Well, hi. How's everything going? That's good.
Totally. 100,000%. Hey, how's
That's
everyone in
good
this 8 a.m.
stuff.
history class? Crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a funny point. I forgot how silly Pinkle is in that moment and how like nobody cares about his
I was so
weasel
glad
thing.
Pinkle is back.
They reincorporated him really well. It felt effortless.
fun
It's
guy.
like, oh yeah, toss him in there.
Yeah.
Can we get to Ed and Nadine stuff real quickly?
Yeah.
So she's now realizing that the divorce is real. Why is this taking so long? This plot is going for too long.
Is she realizing it?
Well, no, she's starting to realize it, and then immediately goes, what? She like loses her train of thought, basically. Because there's, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Two things with this plot. So yeah, like you're saying, there's the scene with Dr. Jacoby where Jacoby's like, Ed, you gotta be patient with her. She's trying to come out of the scar tissue or whatever. And Ed's like, come on, man. I'm trying to go get married to Norma over here. Can we speed it up, Doc?
Didn't he? Wow, good impressions. Didn't he propose to Norma last episode?
Yes, he did.
Cool, normal thing to do. Okay.
Cool, normal thing to do. And Jacoby's basically like, it's going to take some time. And the thing that Nadine realizes is that she's blind in her left eye. And I guess that's supposed to indicate, okay, she's starting to come to grips with like reality a little bit more piece by piece. But okay, I got two issues with this plot.
Number one,
Ed, how do you think this is gonna go, dude? There are two scenarios here, Ed. Number one is Nadine retains her memories of this whole time period and then regains a sort of awareness of reality and is like devastated and is like, oh my God, you openly like cheated on me and left me in front of me. And now I have the memories of that happening.
Right.
Which is terrible. Option number two, Nadine does not retain the memories of this. And so she sort of realizes where they're at. And Ed's like, oh, wait, didn't you know that we did a divorce while you were? And she's like, what are you talking about?
She
like,
almost gets it.
Like, Ed, where's the scenario where this works out for you the way that you want it to?
What's the slam dunk scenario?
I fail to see how this is going to go well for you. My second issue is the Mike of it all. What do you think of this? The what's going on with Mike?
The button on this plot line is that Nadine and Mike book a room at the Great Northern Hotel. Mike is in an SNL sketch, I guess, because he has on like a big boy outfit and is calling them the Hinkmans as the fashion show begins. And like a girl from school comes up to them and goes like, hey, aren't you Mike? I love her, by the way. And he calls her by her first name as if like he's her teacher. It's like, I'll see you at school or whatever. And then like I did also enjoy Nadine dinging the bell, like, can we please go upstairs and fuck for the love of God? And she breaks the bell. And we cut to it and it's like shredded. Like it's mangled. Why? Mike, I thought you weren't okay with this. This keeps happening around the Nadine plot. Like she has this persuasive power similar to the Milford, to Lana Milford. Where it's like, but except it's off screen, she has magic powers. On screen, she's just really strong.
Yeah, because when we talked about this plot, I think the last time we saw Mike was when we talked about this with Ryan Slowinski a few episodes ago. And it was this really uncomfortable thing where Nadine was forcing herself on Mike and not taking no for an answer. And what I that stuff sucked. And then what I sort of appreciated about it was then when she saw Ed and Norma in bed together and was like, oh yeah, Mike and I we're hanging out and together now. I interpreted it as her like lying to save face a little bit. But then in this one where she's like, Mike and I are totally in love, I was like, okay, she's lying again because she feels upset about the Ed and Norma thing.
Yeah.
But she's not lying. They are like together now. Why? What happened there? Why are you doing this? How does this?
Did we miss a moment where he actually kissed her back? Did we miss something?
No, I think they just did it off screen.
Okay.
But that's like an important plot beat in this plot if you're going to do this. And I think they didn't. I think they like skipped a beat.
It's like, it feels like missing a chapter in a book sometimes watching this part of the season.
Yeah.
That's also how I felt about the Truman stuff. I really remember this, like, viscerally hating some of these plots because it feels like we missed something. Like, Truman went from, was very distraught in The Condemned Woman, and now in this one, he's gone, like, kind of Joker mode. I know we say that term a lot here, but, like, drinking in his office turns into, I stack all the furniture up in the sheriff's office, and I'm yelling at people, and, like, Michael Onkin kind of only knows how to act angry by yelling, which kind of annoys me. And it's like, I really like Michael Onkin. I think he's a charming ass dude, and I love Truman. But it's like the actor
to a certain
doesn't.
Extent, he also must have been directed to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But I just think the truth is maybe he doesn't like have the range for this, and also this is too much from one episode to another. It's very striking to go from like the lovable, kind of slower talking Harry Truman, bookhouse boy, to like get out, screaming and all that stuff. It's just like I hate this version of Truman so much, and the fact that this is like some of the last Truman that we ever see just like makes me very sad. Because there's just a couple of like characters who have been so good throughout the show and whiff it so hard in the back end.
Yeah.
But in Truman World, the woman who we learned last episode, we learned her name, I believe. Eckhart's assistant, Jones. Hell yeah, good name, best character. She like slides into his bed, I guess. She like kisses him and gets into his bed. I don't know where that's gonna freaking go.
Kill him or something? I don't fully understand.
She's probably gonna try. I think she tries to kill him. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not gonna definitively say and ruin something for someone, but you shouldn't care about the Jones Harry plot line.
Yeah, it's just like the show is like, oh wait, whoops, but we forgot to sexualize this female character. Sorry. Let's bring her back so we can put her in a bed in a silk thingy and
come on, guys. Come on, indeed.
Yeah.
I think the Truman arc is also supposed to be about like accepting that the woman you loved and had this thing with was a bad person. Fundamentally, that's what Cooper's trying to tell him. In that line that you clipped earlier, is Josie's not the like perfect woman that you thought she was. Doesn't he say something about like I never went to China, she came to me, and it's like Truman, just leave Twin Peaks. Like you needed to just go anywhere, dude. And he can't escape this hometown. And it's
and I think in a larger way, through reflecting on this realization about Josie, he's coming to a realization about the town of Twin Peaks itself, right? And he's sort of being made aware of, and he's been made aware of this like darkness that has seeped much deeper and further into the community than he ever thought it did. And Josie is like the most personal and closest aspect of that to him, but Leland Palmer and just like everything that's been happening over the past couple of weeks, he even says at one point like, oh, the world caught up to us in our community or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, did it, or are you just understanding this in its totality for the first time?
I apologize for not remembering. Was it him or was it like Cooper or something who said or maybe it was Hawk who said it's like taking a hike to your favorite spot? That was an interesting perspective on it. Referring to finding Truman after all this time and being like, this is not the Truman I know that I like appreciate as my boss. It was like taking a hike to your favorite spot and finding a hole where the spot used to be.
Where the lake used to be.
Where the lake used to be, excuse me. And it's like, yeah, people can change overnight. Like maybe part of this, at least for someone like Hawk, is, I guess Truman's just not Truman anymore and he never will be because this trauma has like actually affected him.
Yeah.
But we're really giving the show a lot of credit. It is handled very goofily in the episode.
Definitely.
So that's the main stuff. The only other thing I really wanted to shout out was the GOAT himself, Richard Beimer as Ben Horn, continuing to act the pants off of like pretty basic scenes.
Gives a performance that is like too good for this episode.
Too good for this show, man. It's true.
Like Ben Horn still is a deplorable character, and I have very mixed feelings about like the show's project of trying to redeem him at this point.
Yeah.
But man, when Richard Beimer, that guy, Beimer, when he gets behind the wheel of that character and talks about like, his redemption plans and cleansing his dirt clod of a soul or whatever, you can't help but be transfixed by that guy.
He's just very engaging, and like seeing him in the tracksuit again. I forget if that was in this episode. It might have been the previous one, but it's just like Ben's back in a way. But he just doesn't have room in this plot anymore, except to be like, Catherine, what's up, pal? still hate you. I'm gonna get you. And like they're friends now, but they're also rivals. Their relationship is going nowhere now.
Yeah.
I guess it's like he touches her or something, or like high fives her or something in this episode. And I was like, oh my God, they totally at the beginning of season 1 were like regularly having sex. And now it's like, what's up, Catherine? Good? All right, bye. See you in like 3 episodes. Like they're just so pushed to the side, not interacting with each other much at all anymore.
Yeah, and like what is I think this episode's kind of trying to figure out like okay, we already have a Ben Horn problem of like who is this guy anymore? And now that Josie's dead, it's like who is Catherine Martell anymore?
Right.
You know? Like she's got the land she wants, and Josie's dead, which she wanted, and Eckhart's dead too. Sure. So now she's kind of like, here I am hanging out just to hang out.
Not last episode, but in a recent episode, you mentioned that losing Jean Reno felt like the show understood that it had too many villains. And what's interesting is now we still have too many villains, but no plots for them to be in. Like we just have like they're just like villains living their day-to-day lives. Like, well,
we have two villains who've like chewed through so much plot that they met in the middle, and they're like, wait a minute,
we're in the void of no plot now.
Yeah,
we're these two interesting, fascinating, complex characters who are just like, oh hey, you there
and
too?
These like really pro actors who now are just like adrift with nothing to do. And like Laura Flynn Boyle too, it's like, what, give Donna more, you know? She's such a talented actor, and she's relegated to like, I don't know, she's like playing a 17-year-old girl for the first time in a long time. The way that she was talking to Wyndham Earle's character, it's like, oh, she's acting like a high school girl because she is.
Yeah.
But she's been like an adult woman in her plots for so long.
She saved her boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah, it's just, it's odd. And I don't know. It's, you know, just a lot of great actors who are kind of going to waste right now, which is unfortunate.
Big time. Do you have any stray notes on Wounds and Scars?
One actor who had a great moment was, what's her name? Madgen?
Yeah. Madgen.
Who plays Shelley. There's this moment where Norma's like, you should enter the Miss Twin Peaks pageant, which keep an eye on that. And then Shelley is talking about it. She says,
Miss Double R Diner, what would you do to bring about world peace?
Well, I would bring all the world leaders together, make them form a circle and join hands. Because you can't make a fist holding hands.
You're a shoo-in. I have an order up.
She
was awesome.
Pretty well. It's so
that
fun.
was really fun. I agree.
Yeah. Give Shelley more comedy. If it means that we have to forget all of the plot logic of like Leo's out in the woods and what even is her relationship with Bobby at this point, we have not talked about in a while. If we have to forget all of that just so that we can have some Shelley comedy, I'm here for it.
I'll take it.
Let's just do more of that.
Is she still doing acting? I think she believes she is. Oh, she's on Riverdale.
Oh yeah, she's like a mom on Riverdale or something. Isn't that?
Yeah, she's Alice Smith on Riverdale. Good for her.
Nice.
That's really great. I think because there's a lot of Twin Peaks lifeblood in Riverdale. Also, they had to get somebody. But she's great. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have. I can't think of anything else. But we're building to an end game finally. We're getting out of the woods, or getting into the woods rather.
Yes.
We're going into the woods as the hunt for Wyndham Earle continues, as Cooper continues to forget that he's a character, and the Miss Twin Peaks pageant is probably going to go great, and nothing is going to go wrong there.
Nothing wrong could possibly happen. Do you want to know what's going on next time?
I really do.
Next time on PeaksChatz, we are watching On the Wings of Love and Variations on Relations. So first off, On the Wings of Love. I'm not going to say some of that.
That's valid.
Yeah. So that's On the Wings of Love. And then
great.
And then variations on relations. Okay. Yeah, this one is vague enough. Cooper and company find the mysterious petroglyph. By the way, there was this whole bit about Briggs and the log lady having like weird tattoos that they couldn't explain.
Three triangles.
Yeah, one of them. The log lady had Twin Peaks.
She had two triangles that look like mountains. Yeah, Twin Peaks.
Wyndham Earle befriends a rock and roll youth and tells him tales of places called the White and Black Lodge. Pete helps Catherine open the first puzzle box.
Okay, so you know how we keep saying Twin Peaks is getting so dumb and whatever?
Yeah.
Variations on Relations is considered by most people to be the worst episode of Twin Peaks. Please gird yourselves for what we're going to probably find something weirdly entertaining.
Right.
We're going to probably love the shit out of it because that's just how we do this.
Honestly, it's so much better for it to just be bad than for it to be boring.
Yeah, always, dude. Always, always, always.
And there's a lot in these 2 episodes that was just boring.
Yeah. 10 minutes of fashion show. And again, I love fashion, dude. But not like
you know me. I love fashion. Dude.
That's me, dude.
Yeah.
Like the Matrix person. Not like this. Not like this. You want to tell the kids what we got plug zone wise?
Sure. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you have a couple of options. You can email us, chatspod@gmail.com. You can follow us on twitter.com/chatspod. You can also DM us there if you would like. You can join a community of fellow Chats listeners on our subreddit, reddit.com/r/chatspod, where we're listening back through old Chats seasons. And you can, by becoming a patron, join our Discord, where we talk about the shows that we've covered and we talk about other stuff and we just have a fun time. There's memes in there. There's little clippies. It's fun. That's all that.
Sometimes in our Patreon Discord, we get people to talk about capitalism.
Yeah. And other things you get for being a patron. So $1 a month, if you go to patreon.com/chatspod, $1 a month gets you on the Discord, gets you some of our backlog of bonus content. $3 a month gets you access to thrice monthly bonus content. $5 a month gets you thanked at the end of the episode. And you know who's getting thanked right now? Well, it's people like Kat, Marcus, Nick and Pat of the Brothers at Infinite War, Fendon, Six, and Stefan. And, as always, you can support the show by rating us on podcast platforms, by recommending us to friends. Doing all that stuff would be very, very helpful. And shout outs, as always, to Camilla Strader on social media for our wonderful logo. And that's that. We like to end our episodes with chatsums, with little recommendations for you to snack on between now and next time. So, Alan, what's your chatsum for this week?
I have 2 chatsums for this week. One of them is a podcast that I found recommended through a newsletter that I follow. And it's a podcast called Strong Songs with Kirk Hamilton. Not the best name in the world now that I look at it, but basically Strong Songs is similar to some of the YouTube channels, Magellan, that you have recommended, where it's like a guy talking about why music is good and breaking it down by notes. I didn't notice that he put an episode out about September by Earth, Wind, and Fire on September 21st. But of course he did. The episode that I listened to that made me fall in love was he did one on Scenes from an Italian Restaurant by Billy Joel, which is such a fascinating song because it's like, I forgot that it's like 8 minutes long. I always skip part of it. But he's like going into all the details of the narrative of it and in the background. And Kirk himself is a musician. He's a multi-instrumental musician. He used to be in games journalism. So I saw Kirk Hamilton. I was like, wait, from Kotaku? But that was like 8 years ago at this point. Podcaster, musician, very talented guy, great, charming voice, and just a really cool production. If you want to like learn about why music is good from an actual musician, check out Strong Songs with Kirk Hamilton.
Cool.
And then speaking of September 21st, this was the year that I finally sat down and watched all of the 21st of September videos by Demi Adajuibe. I made sure I practiced pronouncing that, and I still fucking whiffed it. If you look up September 21st Demi on YouTube, you're going to find all of these. Basically, he's a comedian. He's a writer. He wrote on a lot of television shows like The Good Place. And he did these videos every September 21st, where he takes the song by Earth, Wind, and Fire, remixes it, dances in front of something, and wacky things happen. And he's kind of escalated it every year. And 2021's is a really fun production, and I think it's going to be his last. He said it's his last one. And all of them are just really fun. And he also donates money to charity via the videos. So, really cool. You should check those out. Again, that's September 21st, Demi, YouTube. You'll find it. I believe in you. John, what do you got?
My chatsum this week is a browser, a web browser. It's called Vivaldi.
Oh, like Giuseppe?
You're thinking of Garibaldi.
No, I'm thinking of Jakar, you silly. I'm thinking of Antonio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vivaldi it's great. I mean, listen, if you like your current browser, that's fine. I liked mine too, but sometimes I just like to do things because people aren't doing them. And Vivaldi's also good on top of people not using it. Basically, it's great for tab management. You can do some split screen within the browser window itself. You don't have to have multiple windows. You can tell it how you want the screen to split. You can customize where the tabs show up on the browser window. There's this side tab where you can have pages load in as their mobile web version next to whatever it is you're doing, without interrupting what you're doing on your current tab. There's some features, and it's pretty customizable. You can save groups of tabs and open them when you need them, in a particular layout if you would like. I mean, come on. There's notes built into it. It's got a built-in ad blocker. It's Chromium based, so you can use Chrome extensions with it.
What?
Yeah. So
this looks really cool. I am taking a digital marketing course as part of my school, and we just did a unit on website design. We're doing a unit on website design. And even just the Vivaldi website has this thing that's like, how much browser do you want? And you can like drag a slider and make it as complicated as you want. And the max complicated one looks unhinged in the right way.
That's the one I picked.
Oh my God, that's cool. It's really cool.
So, yeah.
Vivaldi. Can I transfer my Chrome bookmarks over?
Yes, I believe so. I think you can import bookmarks.
I might need to give this one a shot then. That's awesome, dude. I was going to say groovy, but what happened is you've said groovy enough times that it's infected me and people in my work, and in my friend groups. So,
really?
Yeah, it's spreading, man. It's spreading faster than the Delta variant. Anyways. Oh, man. Thank you, Magellan, for being the Gerald Craig to my Doc Hayward.
Okay.
I had a funnier one planned, but I couldn't remember it. And thank you, dear listener, for listening to this episode of PeaksChatz. Damn fine podcast.